The massive station floated in the space between stars, larger than any moon. Thousands of ships surrounded it, each carrying warriors and spectators from across the galaxy. This was the Galactic Proving Grounds, and today marked the beginning of the grand tournament. The winner would bring glory and valuable trade rights to their entire species for the next 10 years. Inside the preparation chambers, warriors from dozens of alien species checked their equipment and stretched their muscles. The air buzzed with different languages and the hum of advanced technology. Armor gleamed under the bright lights. Weapons hummed with power. Everyone wanted to look their best, their strongest, their most dangerous. Then Tay walked in. The room fell silent for a moment. Then someone laughed. Then another. Soon, dozens of alien warriors were pointing and chuckling at the human who had just entered. Tay's armor looked like it had been through a war. Actually, it looked like it had been through many wars. The metal plates were covered in dents and scratches. Burn marks blackened entire sections. Some pieces seemed to be held together with rough welding and simple bolts. Compared to the shining, perfect armor worn by everyone else, Tay looked like a beggar who had wandered into a palace. A massive reptilian warrior named Rax stepped forward. He stood nearly 8 feet tall, his scales a deep green color that reflected the light. His armor was brand new, equipped with the latest weapons and shields. He looked down at Tay and laughed harder than anyone else. "Is this a joke?" Rax said, his voice deep and booming. "Did the humans send their janitor by mistake?" More laughter filled the room. A warrior made of living crystal named Silith shook her head in disgust. Her body sparkled like a diamond, and her armor seemed to be made from pure light energy. "This degrades the honor of the tournament," Silith said, her voice musical and cold. "How can we call ourselves champions if we fight against someone wearing garbage?" Tay said nothing. He walked calmly to his assigned station and began checking his armor's systems. His fingers moved over the damaged plates with practiced ease, pressing buttons and testing joints. His face showed no emotion. He did not look angry or ashamed. He simply worked. Near the entrance, 3 other humans watched the scene with tight faces. Hey, a medic with kind eyes, clenched her medical kit tightly. She wanted to say something to defend Tay, but she knew it would only make things worse. Beside her stood Kyung, the leader of the human delegation. He was older, with gray hair and deep lines on his face. He had seen many difficult negotiations in his life, but this public humiliation hurt more than most. Still, he kept his back straight and his expression neutral. Diplomacy required patience. The third human, Yuri, was a young engineer. She stared at Tay's armor with curious eyes. Unlike the others, she was not looking at the damage. She was looking at how the damage was arranged, the patterns of the scars and burns. Something about it seemed strange, but she could not figure out what. "Look at that patch job," another alien warrior said, a creature with 6 arms and purple skin. "My child could do better welding." "I heard humans are a poor species," someone else added. "I guess this proves it. They could not even afford proper armor for their champion." "Maybe the armor is actually strong," a smaller alien suggested, but the others laughed at him. "Strong? Look at it. It is falling apart." Tay continued his inspection, ignoring every word. He checked each joint, each connection, each power cell. His movements were efficient and precise. This was clearly not his first time preparing for combat. The tournament master's voice suddenly boomed through the speakers, silencing the crowd. "Warriors of the galaxy, welcome to the grand tournament. In 1 hour, the first round will begin. Prepare yourselves. May the strongest species prove their worth." The warriors began to disperse, heading to private chambers to rest and focus. Rax walked past Tay one more time, making sure to bump his shoulder against the human's damaged armor. A piece of metal creaked but held. "Try not to die too quickly, human," Rax said with a grin. "I want the audience to get their money's worth." Silith passed by as well, her crystalline face showing clear disdain. Perhaps you should withdraw now and save yourself the embarrassment. Tay finally spoke, his voice quiet and calm. I will be ready when the time comes. His words were simple, but something in his tone made a few aliens pause. There was no fear in his voice, no doubt, just a statement of fact. The preparation chamber emptied until only the humans remained. Hay approached Tay carefully. Are you all right? She asked softly. Tay nodded. I am fine. They should not talk to you that way, Hay said, her voice tight with anger. You are a champion, just like them. They see what they expect to see, Tay replied. He ran his hand over a particularly large dent in his chest plate. Let them laugh. Words cannot hurt me. Kyung stepped closer. The betting odds are terrible, 100 to 1 against you. The entire galaxy thinks this is a joke. Good, Tay said simply. Yuri could not help herself. Can I ask something? Your armor. How long have you had it? Tay looked at her for a long moment. A long time. But why not get new armor? Something without all this damage. Tay's expression softened slightly. This armor has protected me through many battles. Every mark has meaning. Every scar tells a story. I would not trade it for all the shining new armor in the galaxy. The three humans looked at each other, not fully understanding, but sensing something important in his words. I need to rest now, Tay said. Alone, if possible. Of course, Kyung said. We will be watching from the observation deck. Make us proud. I will do my best, Tay promised. He walked to a small private chamber and sealed the door behind him. In the silence, he sat down on a simple bench and closed his eyes. His hands rested on his knees, perfectly still. He controlled his breathing, slow and deep, preparing his mind and body for what was to come. Outside, through the station's massive windows, 1 billion stars shined in the darkness of space. Ships from every corner of the galaxy waited for the tournament to begin. In the betting halls, people placed wagers on their favorite champions. Almost nobody bet on the human. Why would they? He looked like he had already lost. But Tay was not worried about appearances. He had learned long ago that survival did not come from looking strong. It came from being strong, and he had survived things that would break most of these laughing warriors. The hour passed quickly. The announcement came. All champions were to report to the main arena. The tournament was about to begin. Tay stood, stretched once, and walked toward the door. His damaged armor creaked and groaned with each step, but it held together. It always had. Outside, he could hear the roar of the crowd, eager for blood and glory. He allowed himself a small smile. They wanted a show. He would give them one they would never forget. The door opened, and Tay stepped into the light. The main arena was enormous, built to hold 50,000 spectators from every corner of the galaxy. The floor was made of reinforced metal designed to withstand the most powerful weapons. Energy shields separated the fighting area from the crowd, shimmering with protective power. Cameras floated in the air, broadcasting the tournament to billions of viewers across countless worlds. Tay stood in the entrance tunnel, waiting for his name to be called. Around him, other warriors did the same, each in their own tunnel. He could hear the tournament master announcing each champion, describing their victories and their species' achievements. Each announcement was met with cheers and applause. Then came his turn. From Earth, in Sector 794, representing humanity. Tay! The cheers turned to laughter. As Tay walked into the arena, the crowd saw his damaged armor and could not believe this was serious. Some people thought it was a comedy act. Others felt insulted that such a poorly equipped fighter had been allowed to enter. Tay ignored it all. He walked to his position, checked his surroundings, and waited for his first opponent to be announced. From the Stoneskin clans, undefeated in 12 territorial wars, Grok! A massive warrior stomped into the arena from the opposite tunnel. Grok stood over 7 feet tall, his entire body covered in thick gray skin that looked like rock. His armor was minimal because he barely needed it. His people were famous for their natural defenses. Weapons broke against their skin like sticks against a mountain. The crowd roared with approval. This would be quick, the human would be crushed, and everyone could move on to real fights. The tournament master raised his hand. "Begin!" Grok charged immediately, moving surprisingly fast for someone so large. He planned to tackle Tay and end the fight in seconds. The crowd leaned forward, eager to see the impact. But Tay was not there when Grok arrived. The human had moved to the side at the last possible moment, faster than most people expected. Grok stumbled, confused, and turned around. Tay stood waiting, his stance relaxed, but ready. Grok roared and charged again. This time he swung his massive fist at Tay's head, a blow that could crack steel. Tay ducked under it smoothly. As Grok's momentum carried him forward, Tay struck at a specific point on Grok's knee, a joint where even stone-skin warriors were vulnerable. Grok grunted in pain and surprise. No one had ever targeted that spot before. How did the human know? The fight continued. Grok was stronger, tougher, and larger, but Tay was faster and smarter. He never fought Grok's strength directly. Instead, he moved like water, always flowing to where Grok was not. He struck at weak points, joints, and pressure spots that most fighters never learned about. After 5 minutes of frustration, Grok made a mistake. He overextended a punch, putting too much weight forward. Tay swept Grok's leg, using the giant's own momentum against him. Grok fell hard, shaking the arena floor. Before he could rise, Tay had him in a submission hold, one that even stone-skin warriors could not break without dislocating their own shoulder. "Yield," Tay said quietly, just loud enough for Grok to hear. Grok struggled for a moment, then tapped the floor 3 times, the signal of surrender. The crowd went silent. Then confused murmuring spread through the stands. That should not have happened. Grok was supposed to win easily. "Lucky!" someone in the crowd shouted. Others agreed. It must have been luck. Tay helped Grok to his feet. The large warrior looked at him with new respect, but said nothing. As Grok walked away, Tay's armor smoked slightly from where Grok's attacks had connected. A few new dents joined the old ones. Tay had no time to rest. The tournament rules required each champion to fight 3 times in the first round. His second opponent was announced immediately. This one was faster, a creature that moved on 6 legs with blade-like appendages. The fight was harder, more desperate. Tay took several hits that left new scars on his armor. But again, he won through strategy and precision rather than power. The crowd was no longer laughing, but they were not impressed either. Tay's armor now sparked occasionally, damaged systems struggling to function. Pieces of metal hung loose. To everyone watching, it looked like the armor was about to fall apart completely. Between fights, Hay rushed to Tay's corner with her medical kit. She checked him for injuries while trying to patch his armor. "You are bleeding," she said, pointing to a cut on his arm where a blade had slipped through a gap in his armor. "It is minor," Tay replied. "Your armor is barely holding together," Hay said, her hands working quickly to stabilize a damaged shoulder plate. As she worked, she noticed something odd. The damage seemed to go deeper than it should. She could see layers beneath the outer plates, but there was no time to investigate further. In the observation deck, Kyung watched with Yuri. They had both bet their personal savings on Tai, not because they thought he would win, but because loyalty demanded it. "He might actually advance," Yuri whispered, afraid to hope. 2 victories, Kyung said. 1 more and he reaches the next round. "Look at his armor, though," Yuri said. "How is it still functioning? By all physics, it should have failed by now." Kyung had no answer. He just watched as Tay's third opponent entered the arena. This fight was the hardest yet. The opponent used energy weapons that heated Tay's armor until it glowed red. The smell of burning metal filled the arena. Several pieces of armor simply fell off. too damaged to remain attached. But Tay endured. When his opponent thought victory was certain, Tay used a desperate maneuver, rolling under an energy blast and striking from an unexpected angle. His opponent went down, unconscious, before hitting the ground. The arena erupted in shocked applause. Against all odds, the human had won 3 times. He had advanced to the next round. Tay stood in the center of the arena, breathing hard. His armor was a disaster. Smoke rose from a dozen places. More pieces had fallen off, but he was standing. He was victorious. As he walked back to the preparation area, other champions watched him with different eyes now. This was not luck. This was skill. Rax stood in his own corner, having easily won his 3 matches. He watched Tay pass by and felt something unfamiliar. Not respect. Not yet. But curiosity. How did someone in such terrible equipment survive, let alone win? He approached Tay in the rest area, pulling a credit chip from his belt. "Human," Rax said, his tone less mocking than before. "You fight well, but your armor is pathetic. Take this. Buy yourself proper equipment before the next round. You might actually provide entertainment if you are not held back by garbage." Tay looked at the credit chip. It was worth more money than most humans saw in a year, enough to buy military-grade armor from any supplier in the galaxy. "Thank you for the offer," Tay said calmly, "but I decline." Rax's eyes widened. "You decline? Are you stupid? Your armor is falling apart." "My armor serves its purpose," Tay replied. "What purpose? Getting yourself killed?" Tay met Rax's eyes. "Reminding me why I fight." Before Rax could respond, Silith appeared, her crystalline form glowing with barely controlled anger. "I am filing a formal complaint with the tournament masters," she announced. "Allowing damaged equipment degrades the honor of this tournament. It is an insult to all competitors." "My equipment passed inspection," Tay said simply. "Barely," Silith countered. "It meets minimum safety standards only. This is a championship, not a charity event for poor species." Tournament officials arrived within minutes, summoned by Silith's complaint. They examined Tay's armor carefully, running scans and checks. The crowd gathered to watch. "The armor is functional," the lead official finally announced. "Damaged, yes. Unusual, certainly, but it meets all requirements. The competitor may continue." "But how?" another official muttered, looking at his scanner. "These readings show the armor has survived catastrophic damage. Multiple impacts that should have destroyed it completely. Yet it still works. I do not understand." Neither did anyone else. But the rules were clear. Tay could continue. As the crowd dispersed, Yuri managed to get close enough to take readings with her own devices. What she saw made no sense. The armor was not just damaged, it was layered. Beneath the broken outer plates, there were more plates, also damaged. How deep did it go? She wanted to ask Tay about it, but Kyung pulled her away. "Let him rest. The semifinals are tomorrow. He needs to recover." That night, while most champions celebrated in luxury hotels or meditated in preparation chambers, Tay sat alone. His armor lay beside him, still smoking slightly. He ran his hand over the newest damage, adding it to years of scars. Tomorrow he would face Gorath, the 3-time tournament champion. Nobody gave Tay any chance of winning. But that did not matter. He had not come here expecting to win. He had come here for a different purpose entirely, a purpose nobody else could possibly understand. Not yet. The morning of the semi-finals brought the largest crowd in tournament history. Ships arrived from every corner of the galaxy, carrying spectators who had heard about the impossible human. Most came to watch him finally lose. A few came hoping to see another miracle. The arena was packed to capacity. Every seat filled. Floating cameras positioned themselves at every angle. The betting halls worked frantically, processing millions of wagers. The odds against Tai had improved slightly after his first-round victories, but not by much. 50-1 now. Still, nobody seriously believed he could defeat Gorath. Gorath was a legend. He had won the tournament 3 times in a row, representing the mighty Kreth Empire. He stood 9 feet tall, his body enhanced with cybernetic implants that made him stronger and faster than nature alone could provide. His armor was a masterpiece of technology, equipped with weapons that could level buildings and shields that could withstand orbital bombardment. In his previous 9 tournament fights, none had lasted longer than 5 minutes. Tay stood in his tunnel, waiting. His armor looked worse than ever. The damage from yesterday's battles had been patched as well as Hai could manage, but it still looked like it might fall apart at any moment. New dents covered old ones. Fresh burn marks blackened the metal. Several plates were now held in place with emergency straps. "You can withdraw," Kyung had told him that morning. "Nobody would blame you. You have already proven that humans belong here." But Tay had refused. "I will finish what I started." Now, as the tournament master announced his name, Tay walked into the arena. The crowd's reaction was mixed. Some laughed as they had before. But others were quiet, remembering how this damaged armor had carried its wearer through 6 victories. Then Gorath entered from the opposite tunnel, and the entire arena erupted in cheers. He was magnificent. His armor gleamed like liquid silver, every surface perfect and polished. Energy weapons hummed with barely contained power. His helmet displayed his face on a screen, showing a confident smile. "Human!" Gorath's amplified voice boomed across the arena. "I respect your courage. You have fought well to reach this point. But this is where your journey ends. I will make it quick and painless." Tay said nothing. He took his position and waited. "Begin!" the tournament master shouted. Gorath moved first, activating his armor's flight systems and launching into the air. He circled above Tay like a metal bird of prey, firing energy blasts from his arm cannons. The blasts hit the arena floor, creating explosions of sparks and molten metal. Tay dodged and rolled, but he was slower than before. The damage to his armor was affecting his mobility. A blast caught him in the shoulder, spinning him around and leaving a glowing hole in his armor plate. Another hit his back, and an entire piece of armor fell off, clattering to the ground. The crowd gasped. Beneath the fallen piece was another layer of armor, this one just as damaged as the outer shell. Burn marks, dents, scratches covered it completely. "Interesting," Gorath said, landing and switching to close combat. "You wear backup armor? Clever, but it will not save you." He charged at Tay, moving with incredible speed despite his size. His armored fist connected with Tay's chest, creating a sound like a bell being struck. The impact sent Tay flying backward, crashing into the arena wall. More pieces of his armor broke and fell away, and beneath them were more damaged plates, and more beneath those. In the observation deck, Yuri stood up suddenly, her eyes wide. "No," she whispered. "That is impossible." "What?" Kyung asked, standing beside her. "His armor. It is not just damaged. It is layers, multiple layers. I saw it yesterday, but I did not believe. He is wearing dozens of suits of armor, one on top of another." Kyung stared at the arena floor, where pieces of Tai's armor lay scattered. Each piece showed the same pattern, damage upon damage, layers upon layers. "Why would anyone do that?" Kyung asked. "I do not know," Yuri replied. "But do you realize what it means? The weight. He has been fighting while carrying the weight of dozens of armor suits." In the arena, the battle continued. Gorath was relentless, his attacks precise and powerful. Each strike broke more of Tay's armor. Each piece that fell revealed another beneath it. The pile of broken metal grew larger. But something strange was happening. As more armor fell away, Tay was moving faster. His dodges became quicker, his counters more precise. It was subtle at first, but gradually the crowd began to notice. Hay noticed too. She leaned forward in her seat, her medical training making her observe carefully. "He is getting lighter," she said to herself. "Each piece that falls makes him faster." Gorath noticed as well. His confident smile began to fade. His attacks, which had been landing easily before, were now missing more often. The human was adapting, speeding up, becoming more dangerous. "What is this?" Gorath demanded, frustration entering his voice. He unleashed a combination attack, fists and energy weapons working together. The assault was devastating, breaking away large sections of Tay's armor. But Tay weathered it. He stood in the center of the destruction, surrounded by fallen armor pieces, breathing hard but still standing. And he was moving faster now. Much faster. Tay attacked for the first time, a quick strike that Gorath barely blocked. The power behind it shocked the larger warrior. How could someone that damaged hit so hard? The crowd fell silent. This was not going as expected. Gorath should have won by now. Instead, the fight was becoming more even with each passing moment. "You have been fighting weighted down," Gorath realized, his voice showing respect for the first time. "All this time, you have been handicapping yourself." Tay did not answer. He attacked again, faster now. His strikes found gaps in Gorath's perfect armor, weak points in the joints and seals. Each hit was calculated, precise, the result of years of combat experience. More of Tay's armor fell away. The pile surrounding him was enormous now, enough metal to build a small vehicle. Yet he still wore layers more, each one as scarred and damaged as the last. The fight intensified. Gorath used every weapon in his arsenal, every trick he had learned in 3 tournament victories. But Tay matched him, countered him, pushed back. With each piece of armor that fell, Tay became more dangerous. Finally, Gorath made a mistake. He overcommitted to a power attack, expecting to end the fight. Tay saw it coming. He moved aside with speed that shocked everyone watching, then struck at Gorath's knee joint with devastating force. Gorath's leg buckled. His perfect armor had a weak point, and Tay had found it. As Gorath stumbled, Tay followed up with a series of strikes to other vulnerable spots. It was beautiful and terrible to watch, a demonstration of pure combat skill against superior technology. Gorath fell to one knee, his armor's systems failing. Warning lights flashed across his helmet display. He tried to stand, but Tay was already there, striking a final blow to a critical power junction. Gorath's armor shut down completely, freezing in place. The 3-time champion was trapped in his own disabled suit, unable to move. "Yield," Tay said, his voice carrying across the silent arena. For a long moment, Gorath said nothing. Then, with great difficulty, he spoke. "I yield!" The arena exploded with noise. Half the crowd was cheering. The other half was screaming in disbelief. It was impossible. The human had won. Gorath, the unstoppable champion, had been defeated. Tay stood among the scattered pieces of his armor, still wearing multiple layers. How many more were there? Nobody knew. But everyone wanted to find out. Tournament officials rushed onto the arena floor, some to help Gorath from his frozen armor, others to examine the incredible pile of metal that Tay had been carrying. They picked up pieces, turned them over, studied the damage patterns. Each piece told a story of a different battle, a different weapon, a different enemy. "This is from a plasma rifle," one official said, holding up a piece with distinctive burn patterns. "These claw marks are from Chitauri warriors," another noted. "This impact crater, this could only come from a ship-mounted weapon," a third official said, disbelief in his voice. "He has been carrying armor pieces that survived starship combat?" Rax pushed through the crowd of officials, staring at Tay with new eyes. The mockery was completely gone, replaced by something like awe. "Human!" he said. "What are you?" Tay looked at him, breathing heavily from the exertion. Even now, after all that armor had fallen away, he still wore multiple layers. "Just a soldier," he replied. No soldier carries such weight, Silith said, approaching as well. Her crystalline features showed confusion and respect mixed together. No soldier could even walk under such burden, let alone fight, let alone win. May I ask a question? The tournament master himself had entered the arena, his official robes marking his authority. How many layers of armor are you wearing? Tay looked down at himself, at the damaged metal that still covered his body. I stopped counting years ago, he said simply. But why? The tournament master pressed. Why wear all of this? Surely you know it slows you down, makes you vulnerable, puts you at a disadvantage? Tay was quiet for a moment. Then he reached down and picked up one of the fallen pieces, a shoulder plate covered in scars. Each piece has meaning, he said. Each one represents a battle, a loss, a victory, a friend who did not come home. I carry them to remember, to honor, to never forget the price of survival. The arena was completely silent now. Every camera was focused on Tay. Every viewer across the galaxy was listening. Tomorrow, I face the final battle, Tay continued. And before that fight, I will remove all of this armor. Then you will see what a human truly is. He walked toward the exit, leaving the pile of armor behind. Officials scrambled to collect the pieces, treating each one like a historical artifact. In the observation deck, Hay had tears in her eyes. She finally understood. Every piece Tay wore came from humanity's wars, from the battles that had shaped their species. He carried the weight of human history on his shoulders. Literally. Kyung bowed his head in respect. Yuri began calculating numbers, trying to figure out exactly how much weight Tay had been carrying. The results would shock her, and across the galaxy, those who had bet against the human began to wonder if they had made a terrible mistake. The final battle was tomorrow, and now everyone wanted to know what Tay could do without all that weight holding him back. The medical bay was crowded with officials, representatives from dozens of species, and floating cameras broadcasting to the entire galaxy. They had all gathered to witness something unprecedented. Tay had agreed to fully remove his armor before the final match, to answer the questions that now consumed the entire tournament. Tay stood in the center of the room on a raised platform. Medical scanners surrounded him, ready to record every detail. Hay stood beside him, her medical kit ready, though everyone knew this was about much more than checking for injuries. We will document everything, the tournament master announced. Let the galaxy see the truth. Tay nodded and began the process. His hands moved to the first clasps, releasing the outermost layer of his chest plate. It fell away with a heavy thud that echoed through the silent room. Beneath it was another piece, just as damaged. He continued. Each piece he removed was handed to Hai, who placed it carefully on a growing pile. The removal was slow, methodical. Some pieces had been worn so long they required effort to separate. Others fell away easily, their attachment points damaged beyond proper function. 10 minutes passed. The pile grew larger. Officials began examining the removed pieces, scanning them, documenting their damage. This burn pattern is from Vecron plasma weapons, one official said, studying a shoulder plate. These scratches are definitely Chithari claws, another confirmed. This piece has impact damage from kinetic weapons, military-grade ship-mounted, a third official said, his voice shaking slightly. 20 minutes. More layers removed. The crowd watching the broadcast across the galaxy grew larger by the second. This was history being made. Ships in deep space stopped their journeys to watch. Planets paused their daily routines. Everyone wanted to see. 30 minutes. Hay's hands trembled as she received each piece. Some she recognized. Her training included combat medicine, and she knew weapon signatures. She saw damage from battles across human space. She saw evidence of wars the younger generation barely remembered. 40 minutes. Yuri stood nearby with her scanning equipment, recording measurements. Her calculations were becoming absurd. The weight was impossible. No human should be able to carry this much metal and still walk, let alone fight at tournament level. Finally, after nearly an hour, Tay removed the last piece. He stood before them wearing only a simple, thin combat suit. No armor, no protection, just the clothes meant to be worn beneath armor. The room gasped. Tay's body was covered in scars. Old injuries marked his arms, his shoulders, his neck. Each scar told its own story of survival. But more shocking was his physical condition. His muscles were dense, compact, built through years of carrying impossible weight. Medical scanners lit up with readings that made no biological sense. "Scan him," the tournament master ordered. Medical beams washed over Tay from multiple directions. Data flooded the displays. A medical doctor from the Lumina species examined the results, her crystalline face showing disbelief. "His bone density is 3 times what it should be," she announced. "His muscle mass is compressed, efficient beyond normal human parameters. His cardiovascular system shows adaptation to extreme stress. This is what happens when a body is forced to evolve under constant pressure." "What was the total weight?" someone asked. Yuri looked at her calculations. 340% of Earth normal gravity, she said quietly. He has been fighting this entire tournament as if he was on a planet with more than 3 times Earth's gravity. Silence filled the room. The implications were staggering. Kyung stepped forward, holding a data pad. "I think it is time for the full truth," he said. "I am uploading Ty's military record to the public database, the parts that are no longer classified." Information flooded screens across the galaxy. Personnel file, service record, battle history, awards, injuries, deployments. Tay served in the contact wars, Kyung explained. For those who do not know human history, these were the wars we fought when we first entered galactic space. We were not welcomed. We were attacked. Multiple species saw us as weak, as easy prey. Images appeared on the screens. Battle footage from human military archives. Young Tay fighting in dozens of conflicts. Each battle more desperate than the last. "For 15 years, Tay fought in 40 different star systems," Kyung continued. "He was part of the First Contact Division, the soldiers who faced unknown enemies with unknown weapons. Most of his unit did not survive." The room was completely silent except for Kyung's voice. "Every piece of armor you see in that pile came from those wars. Some pieces are from enemies he defeated. Others are from comrades who fell beside him. He has worn them ever since, adding each piece to honor the dead, to remember the cost of human survival." Tay spoke for the first time, his voice quiet but clear. "We did not have advanced technology. We did not have superior weapons. We had only ourselves, our willingness to endure, our refusal to quit. Every battle we survived made us stronger. Every loss made us remember why we fight." He walked to the pile of armor and picked up a specific piece, a helmet scarred by blade marks. "This belonged to my first commander. She died protecting a colony of 3,000 people. I carry it to honor her sacrifice." He picked up another piece, a chest plate with a hole melted through it. "This came from my best friend. He took a plasma blast meant for me. I carry it to remember that I am alive because others chose to die." Piece by piece, Tay identified armor from the pile. Each one had a story. Each one represented a person, a battle, a moment that shaped him. Rack stepped forward from the crowd, his massive form suddenly seeming smaller. "I mocked you," he said. "I called your armor garbage. I insulted your species. I was wrong. I am sorry." "You saw what you expected to see," Tay replied. "Most do. They see damaged metal and think weakness. They do not see the strength required to carry such damage and continue forward." Silith approached as well, her usual arrogance completely gone. "I complained to officials about you. I said your equipment degraded the tournament's honor. But now I understand. Your armor carries more honor than anything in this station. In my language, we have a word, tempered, metal that has been through fire, beaten, shaped, made stronger through hardship. You are the tempered one. Your species is tempered by war. Other species representatives came forward one by one to acknowledge what they had witnessed. The mockery had turned to respect. The laughter had become reverence. A young official, barely more than a child, asked the question many were thinking. Why reveal this now? Why not show everyone from the beginning? Tay smiled slightly. Would you have believed it? Would you have understood? Sometimes people must see for themselves. They must watch the journey before they can appreciate the destination. The medical doctor spoke again, reviewing her scans. I must ask, for medical records, how do you feel? After carrying such weight for so long, your body must be in constant pain. Pain is a teacher, Tay replied. It reminds you that you are alive, that you survived when others did not. I would not trade it away. Hay approached with a simple question. For tomorrow's final battle, what will you wear? Tay looked at the pile of armor, then at the simple combat suit he now wore. I will wear this, just this. The armor has served its purpose. It brought me here. It showed me that I am strong enough. Now it is time to show everyone else. But you will have no protection, Hai protested. The combat suit has minimal defensive capability. I have spent 15 years protected by the memories of the dead, Tay said. Tomorrow I fight for the living, for humanity's future. I do not need metal for that. I need only what I have always had, myself. Yuri approached with her data pad, showing calculations. Do you realize what you can do without that weight? Your speed will increase dramatically. Your endurance will seem unlimited compared to what you have shown. You have been fighting at a fraction of your true capability. I know, Tay said simply. The tournament master stepped forward. The final battle is tomorrow. You will face Silith. She has requested this match specifically. She wants to understand human strength firsthand. Will you accept? Tay looked at Silith. The crystalline warrior met his gaze with respect and determination. This would not be a fight of mockery or prejudice. This would be a true test of skill and honor. I accept, Tay said. The room erupted in discussion. Across the galaxy, betting odds shifted dramatically. What had been 50-1 against Tai was now even. Some even favored the human. The fighter who had been mocked was now feared. That night, as Tay rested in his quarters, he looked at the pile of armor one last time. Each piece had been documented, scanned, and stored carefully. Museum officials had already requested the collection. Schools wanted to teach about it, historians wanted to study it, but for Tay, it was simply a burden he no longer needed to carry. He had proven his point. He had shown the galaxy that humanity belonged among the stars, that humans could endure what others could not, that damaged armor and scarred bodies were not signs of weakness, but evidence of survival. Tomorrow he would step into the arena wearing only a simple suit. No protection, no weapons, no advantages, just a human being, showing the galaxy what his species truly was when all the weight was lifted. He closed his eyes and slept peacefully for the first time in years. The armor no longer pressed down on him. The weight was gone, and he felt lighter than he had in decades. Outside, the galaxy waited, 1 billion beings across 1,000 worlds prepared to watch. The final battle would not just determine a tournament winner, it would define how the galaxy saw humanity forever. And Tay was ready. The final day of the tournament arrived with unprecedented attention. Every seat in the arena was filled hours before the match. Ships surrounded the station in such numbers that traffic control struggled to manage them all. Across the galaxy, billions watched their screens, waiting for the battle that would make history. Tay stood in his preparation chamber, wearing only the simple combat suit. It felt strange to be so light, so mobile. For 15 years, he had worn the weight of the dead. Now, for the first time since the wars ended, he stood free of that burden. Hay entered to perform a final medical check. She scanned him quickly, then smiled. "Your vital signs are perfect. Better than perfect. Actually, your body is responding to the reduced weight. It is like you are a different person." "I feel like I can fly," Tay admitted. "You might be able to," Hay said seriously. "The data suggests your speed and reflexes without the armor will be beyond anything the galaxy has seen from a human. Promise me you will be careful. Silith is not a weak opponent." "I know," Tay replied. "She has requested this fight to understand human strength. I will give her a true demonstration." Kyung entered next, followed by Yuri. They both looked emotional. "The betting is split evenly now," Kyung said. "Half the galaxy believes in you. The other half believes Silith's technology will prevail. Regardless of outcome, you have already won the respect we came here for." "But I still want you to win," Yuri added with a slight smile. "I have studied Silith's fighting style. She relies on her crystalline body's natural advantages: hardness, light-based attacks, near-perfect structural integrity, but she has never fought someone with your experience." "Thank you," Tay said to both of them. "Whatever happens today, humanity's place in the galaxy is secured. We are no longer the weak species everyone thought we were." The call came. It was time. Tay walked through the tunnel toward the arena. The roar of the crowd grew louder with each step. He could feel the anticipation, the excitement, the curiosity. When he stepped into the light, the entire arena fell silent. He wore no armor, no weapons, just the simple black combat suit and his own body. The scars on his arms and neck were visible to everyone. He looked smaller than before, almost fragile compared to the armored warriors they had seen all tournament. But those who looked closely saw the confidence in his movements, the calmness in his expression, the readiness in his stance. This was a warrior who needed no protection because he had already survived everything. Silith entered from the opposite tunnel. Her crystalline body shone like a living diamond under the arena lights. She wore minimal armor because her natural form was already nearly indestructible. Light energy flowed around her, a visible aura of power that could be weaponized in an instant. She stopped across from Tay and bowed deeply, a sign of respect in her culture. Tay bowed in return. "Human Tay," Silith said, her voice amplified for all to hear. "I mocked you when you arrived. I called your armor garbage. I said you degraded this tournament's honor. I was blind and foolish. You carry more honor in one scar than I have earned in my entire life. Today I fight not to defeat you, but to understand you, to learn what makes humanity strong." "Then I will show you," Tay replied simply. The tournament master raised his hand. The crowd held its breath. 1 billion viewers across the galaxy leaned closer to their screens. "Begin!" Neither fighter moved immediately. They circled each other slowly, studying, measuring, planning. This was not like the previous fights. This was not about domination or quick victory. This was about understanding. Silith attacked first, sending a beam of concentrated light toward Tay. He moved aside smoothly, faster than she expected. The beam hit the arena floor, leaving a glowing mark on the metal. Tay countered, closing the distance between them with incredible speed. Silith barely raised her crystalline arm in time to block his strike. The impact rang like a bell, but Tay's hand did not break, despite striking something harder than diamond. "You have conditioned your body to strike hard surfaces," Silith observed. "Interesting." They exchanged blows, each testing the other's defenses. Silith's body was indeed nearly indestructible, but Tay did not try to break it. Instead, he targeted joints, balance points, vulnerable areas that every physical form possessed regardless of material. Silith increased her attacks, using light-based strikes that could burn through metal. But Tay was never where the attacks landed. He moved like water, flowing around danger, always repositioning, always adapting. The fight intensified. Silith created multiple light projections of herself, a technique that had defeated many opponents. Tay closed his eyes and fought by sound and air movement alone, striking the real Silith while ignoring the illusions. "You fight without seeing," Silith said, surprised. "How?" "In war, I fought in darkness," Tay replied. "In smoke. In conditions where vision meant nothing, I learned to use everything else." The crowd watched in amazement as the two fighters demonstrated skills beyond what most had thought possible. This was not just a fight. It was an education. Every move showed years of training, decades of experience, centuries of cultural knowledge. Silith tried different strategies, energy attacks, physical strikes, defensive positioning. Each time, Tay adapted. Each time, he found a counter. Not because he was stronger or more advanced, but because he had fought so many different enemies in so many different conditions that he had learned to adapt to anything. 30 minutes passed. Both fighters were breathing hard now, but neither showed signs of stopping. The crowd was completely silent, entranced by the display of skill. Then Silith made a decision. She lowered her guard and spoke. "Enough. I understand now." Tay stopped immediately, respecting her choice. "What do you understand?" "Humanity's strength is not in your bodies, though you have made them impressive through determination. It is not in your technology, though you use what you have efficiently. Your strength is in your adaptability, your refusal to accept defeat, your ability to learn from every battle, every loss, every scar. You do not fight to dominate. You fight to survive, and survival has made you stronger than any species who has never truly struggled." She bowed again, deeper this time. "I yield, not because you have defeated me physically, but because I cannot defeat what you represent. I cannot defeat the human spirit." The arena erupted. Half the crowd cheered wildly. The other half sat in stunned silence. The tournament was over. Humanity had won. But Tay did not celebrate. He walked to Silith and offered his hand to help her up. She took it, her crystalline fingers wrapping around his scarred hand. "You honor me with your words," Tay said. "But this was never about proving humans are better than other species. It was about proving we belong among you, that we deserve respect and partnership." "You have proven far more than that," Silith replied. "You have shown us what we have forgotten, that true strength comes not from what we are born with, but from what we endure and overcome." The tournament master entered the arena, followed by officials carrying the championship trophy. It was a beautiful piece of art, made from metals and crystals from 100 different worlds. "The winner of the grand tournament," the master announced, "representing humanity and the planet Earth. Tay!" The trophy was presented. Tay held it, feeling its weight. It was heavy, but nothing compared to the armor he had carried for so long. "This belongs to all humanity," Tay said to the crowd, "to every person who fought in the contact wars, to every family who lost someone, to every child who will now grow up in a galaxy that respects us. This is for all of them." The celebration that followed lasted for hours. Species from across the galaxy approached the human delegation to negotiate alliances, trade agreements, and cultural exchanges. The mockery and dismissal were completely gone, replaced by genuine interest and respect. Rax approached Tay privately during the celebrations. "I have a question, if I may ask it." "Of course," Tay replied. "When you wore all that armor, all that weight, did you ever think about giving up? About just removing it and fighting normally?" Tay considered the question carefully. "Every day," he admitted. "Every single day the weight hurt. It slowed me down. It made everything harder. But every day I remembered why I wore it. I remembered the faces of those who died. I remembered the battles we barely survived. And I knew that if I removed it, I would forget. The pain kept me honest. It kept me humble. It reminded me that strength is not free. It must be earned through suffering. And now? Rax asked. Now that you have removed it? Now I carry the memory instead of the weight, Tay said. The armor is in museums and schools. Children will learn from it. Historians will study it. But I no longer need to wear it to remember. The scars on my body are enough. Later, Kyung gathered the human delegation for a private meeting. What happens now? He asked Tai. Now I go home, Tay replied. I have fought enough battles, won enough wars. It is time for others to carry humanity forward. You are retiring? Hai asked, surprised. From combat, yes, Tay confirmed, but not from service. I will train the next generation. I will teach them what I have learned. How to fight, yes, but more importantly, how to endure, how to adapt, how to carry weight without breaking. These lessons are more valuable than any weapon. Yuri spoke up. The data from your fights will revolutionize human training programs. The way you adapted your body to carry that weight, the techniques you developed, we can use all of it to make humanity stronger. Use it well, Tay said. But remember, strength without purpose is worthless. We must never forget why we fight. Not for domination, not for conquest, but for survival, for the right to exist among the stars. In the following days, museums across the galaxy requested pieces of Tai's armor collection. Schools wanted to teach about it. Military academies wanted to study his techniques. The human who had been mocked became a legend. The armor pieces were distributed carefully. Some went to museums, others to military academies. A few returned to Earth to be displayed in memorials for the contact wars. Each piece carried its story, its history, its lesson. The tournament station slowly emptied as species returned to their homeworlds. Trade agreements were signed. Military alliances were formed. Cultural exchanges were planned. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, not with superior technology or overwhelming force, but with something more valuable: respect earned through demonstration of strength, honor, and humanity. Tay stood at an observation window watching the stars. Hay joined him. Do you regret anything? She asked. Only that so many had to die for us to reach this point, Tay replied. But I do not regret carrying their memory. I do not regret the weight. It made me who I am. You changed the galaxy's view of humanity in 1 week, Hay said. That is quite an achievement. I showed them what one human could do, Tay corrected. But every human has the same potential, the same ability to endure, to adapt, to overcome. I am not special. I am simply willing to do what is necessary. They stood in silence for a while, watching ships depart into the darkness. What will you do first when you get home? Hai asked. Tay smiled, a rare expression. I will walk without weight. I will run without armor. I will remember what it feels like to move freely. And then I will begin training others, so they never have to carry what I carried, so they can be strong without the weight, so they can protect humanity better than I ever could. You are a good man, Tay, Hai said softly. I am just a soldier who survived, Tay replied. But if my survival can help others, then the weight was worth carrying. The human delegation's ship departed the next morning, carrying the tournament trophy and a new era of respect. Across the galaxy, the story of Tay spread. The warrior who fought in damaged armor, the human who carried impossible weight, the champion who showed that true strength comes not from what you are born with, but from what you refuse to let break you. In classrooms on 1,000 worlds, teachers told the story. In military academies, instructors studied his techniques. In museums, Children stared at the scarred armor and asked questions about the battles it had survived. And on Earth, in a small training facility, Tay began his new mission, teaching the next generation, showing them that humanity's greatest strength was not in their technology or their weapons, but in their refusal to quit, their ability to adapt, their willingness to carry weight so others would not have to. The damaged armor had shocked everyone when it came off, but what shocked them more was what it revealed. Not a broken man, but a tempered one. Not weakness, but strength refined through suffering. Not the end of a warrior, but the beginning of a teacher. And the galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again.